And Prince Harry cut a lonely figure during his first public appearance since his disastrous phone hacking trial last week. The Duke was snapped at the Warrior Games in San Diego, which celebrates US veterans. Once again, his wife Meghan was nowhere to be seen. The latest example of Meghan MIA follows Harry's solo trips to London, where he was humiliated at the coronation and in the High Court. And with the Prince seemingly in self-destruct mode and dealing with the horrific consequences of his tell-all spare, does he need to be stopped from destroying the Sussex's shared brand? Well, as I wrote in my Mail Online column, having thrown virtually every relative under the bus and cut himself off from most close friends from his pre-Meghan era, it would seem the only person in the world who can save him from himself is his wife. So what do you think? Should Meghan Markle stage an intervention and tell Prince Harry he's making a fool of himself? Dan at gbnews.com. Vote in our poll at GB News on Twitter. Those results shortly, but doing battle on this now, the broadcaster and journalist Rebecca Twomey, former congressional staffer for the Foreign Affairs Committee Lee Cohen from the US, and editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. So, Lee, it does feel like now Meghan should step in, right?
Well, just when you think Harry has burned every bridge, every boat down, he outdoes himself. And normally a spouse, particularly a media-savvy celebrity like Meghan Markle, one would expect her to be protective of her husband. But perhaps there are some other things at foot. Perhaps even, dare I suggest, what Lady Colin Campbell and the Duchess's sister Samantha Markle have suggested, that perhaps there is tension in the marriage, particularly post-coronation. Perhaps Meghan feels that she's extracted all of the benefits from the royal family that she can, extracted all the benefits from her husband's country, the United Kingdom, that she can, and even perhaps extracted all the benefits from her husband himself.
OK, well, Charlotte Griffiths, firstly, I mean, you're a big royal scoop breaker at the Mail on Sunday. What are you hearing at the moment about the state of the relationship between Harry and Meghan? And do you think that could potentially play a part in why she seems to have almost just allowed Harry to make a fool of himself on a grand scale?
Well, I'm hearing many of the same rumours that you are, which is that there is a very unusual amount of distance between them at the moment. But I hate to tell you this, I think that Meghan is behind some of these clangers lately. I mean, who can forget that car crash statement? That had Meghan's fingerprints all over it.
The car chase that wasn't.
I think what we're seeing, is the intervention. This is Meghan helping Harry not to make a fool of himself. Unfortunately, it's obviously gone very badly wrong. And, her advisors, her new team of US advisors, are very much behind his actions lately. I mean, don't think for a minute that every cough, spit, decision, flight is all run past Meghan. Even if they are having difficulties in their marriage, I mean, they are still married and she is still very much the leader of Team Sussex, always has been right from the very beginning. And, I think this is the intervention. I just don't think it's going very well.
But Rebecca, surely she should be seeing that this isn't working out for her husband. And I actually wonder, Rebecca, if she has some sort of strategy going on here, like the weaker her husband is, the stronger and more powerful she is.
No, Dan, come on. This is getting just more and more pantomime each single time. Somehow, even when Meghan's not in the picture, she's not at the coronation, she's not at court with him, somehow she's behind the scenes puppeteering everything. I know that's the narrative people like to have with Meghan, but I just think it's getting a bit ridiculous now because she's not even in the picture and suddenly she's responsible for a lot of this. And I think, people, I believe, wrongly think that she corrupted our perfect prince. Then really, if we're going on that train of thought, she shouldn't be interfering now, should she? She's actually, I think, listening to the outcry and the dislike of them. And she is stepping back and she is letting Harry be at the centre of the story. I think that's actually a very clever move of Meghan. And I think she's, massively been supportive to him. I think she's letting him do this for him because his case against, the Mirror is really, I think, very much him sort of, being loyal to his mother and trying to avenge her death.
Oh, come on, Rebecca. I mean, Diana had so many personal relationships with the Mirror newspapers and lots of other journalists. I mean, Lee, isn't he adopting a false narrative. He's adopting a false impression of his mother. And actually, shouldn't Meghan be the one to step in? Because, look, let me tell you something about Meghan Markle. I knew what this woman was like when she was a celebrity before she entered the royal family. I'm sure Charlotte Griffiths will back me up on this. Meghan Markle was the one calling up the paparazzi. Oh, hello, I'm going to be at the Soho Hotel. Can you come and take a picture of me when I arrive? Oh, I'm going to take out a showbiz columnist for dinner. This was a friend of mine, actually, Katie Hind, one of Charlotte Griffiths' colleagues, and beg her to write a story about Ashley Cole, the football love rat, wanting to go out with me. I mean, Lee, isn't it actually Meghan's responsibility to educate Harry about the reality of the media?
Well, I'm afraid I disagree entirely with what Rebecca said. Meghan, as we know, and as you just pointed out, is ruthless. She leaves nothing to chance. And if she had chosen to do so, she could have intervened to save Harry a great deal of grief because he clings to her. Meghan does her homework. She leaves nothing to chance. She wouldn't have lame arguments and contradict herself in court. She sets the rules and chooses the interviewers. Not that Harry could choose the lawyers in court. He put himself in a different venue.
Yeah, OK. Rebecca, how do you respond to that?
I think this is getting, like I said, a bit ridiculous in that Harry is his own person. Before he even met Meghan, he was a very strong character. Can you remember how much he pushed to be serving with his men, for his country? He wasn't sort of, hiding behind things. He was like that way before he met Meghan. It's just everybody wants to keep pivoting to blaming Meghan for everything because we adored Prince Harry so much and we all feel betrayed by him. And I understand that, but we can't keep blaming Meghan for everything because, God forbid, if they did break up, I don't think Harry would change at all. I think we'd just be like, oh, actually, this was Harry. It wasn't all Meghan behind the scenes.
He was her ticket out, and he hangs on her every word. And sadly, he seems lost without her, almost as he did.
Exactly. And Charlotte, I'm not being unfair, am I, about what Meghan used to be like? So she could actually tell Prince Harry, look, this war with the media, that's actually not really making sense because I used to do all of those things all the time. Most celebrities want to be written about.
Yeah, totally. And she went out for a drink with Piers Morgan, don't forget, their arch nemesis. And she's still really in touch with quite a lot of US showbiz commentators. One of her best friends is that commentator called Lainey. Do you know her? So I think she's still got a relationship with the media personally. And but she wants to do it on her terms with her friends.
Always.
And one of the big problems is that she thinks she can tell Harry how to be royal. Harry actually is royal. So he was, it wasn't totally lacking in disasters, but he did vaguely know what he was doing. They changed their whole strategy when Meghan came on the scene, and it hasn't worked.
No, it hasn't worked. I couldn't agree more. Charlotte Griffiths, Lee Cohen, Rebecca Twomey, fascinating discussion, but who do you agree with? Should Meghan tell Prince Harry he's making a fool of himself? Diane writes, Meghan, like we did there, has probably been behind it all, goading and pushing him. I think they both need to fade into obscurity now. Alistair writes, no, he should be left to completely ridicule himself to the point of no return. And from Kim, this is via Twitter, if she loved him, she might, but if truth be told, she's probably relishing in Harry's failings. It's taking the heat off her, at least. And your verdict is now in. It's a split decision. Oh, this is interesting. 55% of you think Meghan should intervene. Stage an intervention. Tell Prince Harry he's got this totally wrong. He's making a fool of himself. 45% of you think she should butt out.